for the Spanish.
Step this way for the Spanish Inquisition. Just a little coffee talk, okay? Like butter.
And now, broadcasting live on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, this is Elevation 5280 Sports with Matt Mascarenas.
Want me to invite Matt?
Yeah, the whole gang, Matt included.
The Denver freaking Nuggets are the number one seed in the Western Conference, and they are coming for that you-know-what. There is nothing that can stop this team. Strap in with me. It is time to watch a Denver Nuggets championship run.
And Michael Spillin.
All work and no play makes Michael a dull boy.
Yeah, I'm excited for this Denver Nuggets playoff push. I'm excited for the rest of the season, but Matt, they cannot be losing to teams like Orlando on the road, like Memphis on the road, but I'm excited either way, and it is going to be a fantastic finish. They are almost in the exact same championship window the Avs were in last year. And speaking of the Avs, do not count them out just yet.
Matt's an okay dude, but he's a dummy.
Michael! Oh, that's funny. Michael!
Now, Matt and Michael are on.
Step this way.
And welcome into Elevation 5280 Sports on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. With you as always, Matt Mascarenas, Michael Spillin on this Sunday morning. Matt, how the heck are you?
I'm doing pretty good. The weather is finally warmed up, which has me excited because that means more time for fishing and golf with the weather being warmer and getting warmer and no snow on the ground. So I'm doing pretty good today. How about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, it's already snow in the forecast for Tuesday. So
I know. Dang it.
this whole weekend was an April Fool's joke, is what it was. But we're not April Fooling here, as our episode says so. We will have a bunch of stuff to get into. We will get into the phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes as they will play LSU in the women's championship side. And as you saw yesterday, it'll be UConn and San Diego State, man. How about that? The first time ever there is no 1 or a 2 seed in the national championship in college basketball. It is a 4 and a 5 seed. So we will get into that as well. And as Matt's jersey sake tells us, we will count down the best number 2s to ever lace them up. And there it is. That's prime, isn't it? That's prime FSU.
Prime time FSU, baby.
Yeah, that's prime FSU.
Prime FSU.
So there you go. With that, we will get into the best number 2s, as I mentioned. And the Rockies get their season started, which is why I'm in Rockies gear. You drinking the purple Kool-Aid yet?
I want to, man. I want to grab that stuff and just dump it down my throat so bad, Mike.
It's funny because I downloaded the new MLB The Show, right?
Right.
And it's funny, like it's John Shambi, who I love as a broadcaster, and Chris Singleton, who I think are an ESPN team. They're one of the ESPN teams, broadcasting teams. And when you start the season on the show, Matt, Chris Singleton does like a little rundown of each team and says, this roster is not competing for anything, but maybe they can surprise some people. So even on the video game, they say that.
They're surprised. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm 7-0 in the video game, Matt. So
no kidding. Are you playing with the Rockies roster?
Oh yeah. I put it on the easiest difficulty just so just because it'll never happen in real life. So you gotta fantasize a little bit.
Yeah. I've been playing that PGA 2K23.
Also a fun game.
Oh, I love that game. And man, it took me a little bit to get past the qualifying to get into the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah. Before the baseball game, I was playing the crap out of Hogwarts Legacy. So
I haven't got that one yet, and I'm glad because I don't know if I have time to really dig into that freaking game.
It'll consume every minute of every day for forever. But it is a fun game. It's like the Grand Theft Auto of Harry Potter is what it is.
But, oh man,
There's so much
See,
to do.
I can't get into that. If that happens, then I'll probably get divorced, man. And then I mean, my kids will love me because they just play video games all the time, but my wife will hate me.
Yeah. Don't have that problem, at least yet, anyway. So there you go with that. Yeah. So just a bunch to get into. As we mentioned, the Rockies get started and they look pretty decent. Marquez and Freeland looked pretty good to start the season off. I don't know if you saw that play by Kyle Freeland in the field. Looked like a shortstop to throw the ball to first base. Marquez looked pretty good, and I'm still confused because how to say his last name, because now it's Marcus and now it's Marquez, and I think
I've always went with Marquez, something like that.
And now on the broadcast, they're saying Marcus, which is weird.
Really?
But I guess there's 3 ways to say it, and everyone's saying all 3 pronunciations, so we don't really know what's going on. So maybe someday we'll get that nailed down. But he looked pretty good in the season opener as the Rockies start the season 2-1 now as they lose yesterday 8-4, but they were down 4 runs at 2 different points and battled back. CJ Cron is picking up where he left off last season, man. Already 2 home runs on the season. He had a 3-run shot yesterday. Xander Bogaerts in his Padres opening weekend debut hits a home run yesterday. And who was it yesterday? It was Urena yesterday who pitched and did not look good for the Rockies. They'll wrap up the 4-game opening weekend set today in San Diego, which we all know what that is Spanish for, but
we do. Yes.
We
don't need to repeat it, but we know.
Yeah, we know. Everyone knows.
Everyone knows.
Yeah. So it should be the rubber match, which is usually a day game today. Did you see the city edition Padres jerseys? Those are kind of crazy.
Yeah, they were kind of crazy. They shocked me a little bit when I saw those things.
Gomber's getting the start today for the Rockies against Seth Lugo. And once again, that'll be a 2:10 start. So a rubber match today in San Diego. I want to get to these rule changes really quickly, Matt, because baseball started when, after our last show. So do you like any of these rule changes? There's no more shift. So when Chuck Nasty goes to bat now, the whole entire stadium's not on the right side of the field. So you have that, and then I like how they didn't shift, and then he hits it the other way anyway and gets a base hit. So Chuck Nasty having a pretty good start to his 36-year-old season, and how about this on opening day, Matt? On Thursday, there was 25 stolen bases, which is a record for opening day. Only 2 caught stealing. And I'm wondering, is it because the bases are about 3 inches wider? I think is the right number. And the pitcher can only throw over to first base now twice. If you throw it over a third time, I think is it a ball to the batter? I think so. Like yeah. So those are a couple of the rule changes. And obviously the big rule change is the pitch clock. So pitchers are having to get used to that. No more Garcia Parras at the plate. No more. I don't know who takes forever on the mound, but some pitchers will go take a bathroom break while they're on the mound. And so you have a pitch clock now. The first Rockies game this season, Matt, was 2 hours and 56 minutes. So you had an under 3-hour game, which seems too speed. And then, of course, they had like a 15-minute delay because it rained and they had to put more dirt on the field. But that you really can't help that. But what do you make of these rule changes? I kind of like all of them.
I'm enjoying them. And like you said right there, you mentioned you talked about 25 stolen bases, only 2 caught. And I was watching, I think it was the White Sox and the I can't remember who the heck they were playing. But I was watching that game, and it's different. And the couple games that I have watched, you can tell it's different. And I'm excited to see how defensively these managers and these teams are going to combat this. I think I wonder if the pitchers are going to get even faster, because if you gotta, and what I mean by faster is faster to the plate when a runner's on, so you can be a little bit more unpredictable, because you can when the pitcher has to throw the ball. He's got time. He's got a time clock to when he has to throw the ball. He can't, throw back to you. So there's some things from the pitching perspective and the defensive side of things that I can't wait to see how they counteract this stuff, because it's going to stealing in baseball is fun. But that little cat and mouse game, throwing back and over can get really boring and redundant if you do it over and over again. So I do like this aspect of it, but I'm curious to see how the defenses and the pitchers are going to combat that, or how they're going to, like I said, I think their deliveries are going to be shorter. Their setups might even be a little shorter. Their steps to the plate will be shorter. The time that they take to get there. And I noticed too, Shohei Ohtani, that he was calling his pitches. He was tapping his pitches in here, on the elbow. I don't know if you saw that, but he was tapping his pitches, and other pitchers might've been doing it too, but he was, because between the catcher and saying, hey, this is what I'm gonna throw. This is what I'm gonna throw. And then that sped up the game even a little bit more. So the adjustment from the defensive perspective and the pitching perspective, I think is what we're going to see, which is exciting. And I think it makes it a little bit more fun to watch when things like that and that little cat and mouse game. We'll see how that goes, but I'm digging it so far, Mike. I really am. And a lot of people have been saying that it's going to take us back to how baseball was in the 50s and 60s. Well, I don't remember baseball in the 50s and 60s. I don't know if you remember it, but I don't. So I know where it is now, or where it was, and where when I enjoyed baseball. And I like to see offense, like to see hits and stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm so far so good. The umpires, have they gotten worse? That's one thing I'm curious. I think they've gotten worse.
I don't know, because I thought they were robots at this point, but maybe not.
That's that would be the next step, because it's like the umpires are finding that. What I've noticed about the umpires is some of them have used some of them can't stand the new rules, because you could tell, like, well, no, I saw a play. I can't remember who it was exactly, but the batter, and they both looked at each other like, I got to call it. And I guess the guy ended up getting a strike, or he ended up striking out. There was some kind of situation like that. So some of these umpires I can tell are kind of like, but there's some that, did you see the one where that catcher, he dropped the ball in the mitt and then the catcher threw? Like, it's like, you're going to see little things like that where umpires are trying to insert themselves in the game because they can't anymore in the ways that they used to. So I'm curious to see if the umpires are going to get worse with less to do, in a sense.
Yeah. And I guess I don't know if I guess we're semi kidding. At least I am. I guess you have to keep some human element, when it comes to refereeing, umpiring and stuff like that.
Agree,
so I don't know if there will be robot umpires, at least not in the field. Behind the plate, you can do, because I mean, there's all these artificial strike zones, everything like that. You can set that up, and I'm sure everyone will have to agree to what a strike zone looks like. If Randy Johnson, who's 6'8", is out there, you're going to have a bigger strike zone, for maybe a pitcher if there's a taller guy at the plate, or a smaller guy. So, a smaller guy goes up to play, he's going to have a smaller strike zone. So that all has to be worked out if it were to ever come to that. But I don't know if it ever will, because of the human element in the game. So maybe we will.
Umpires are just the history of umpires and just having them on the field is too important to baseball to really go full auto umpire. But I do see why they are wanted. I really do, because some of these dudes, man, whoo, oh boy.
Yeah, some of it's pretty bad. So Rockies start the season now 2-1. They will finish their 4-game set, the rubber match today, with the San Diego Padres today at 2:10 Mountain Time. Once again, Austin Gomber on the mound for the Rockies against Seth Lugo. Padres are predicted to win the NL West. Dodgers lost a couple of key pieces, including Trey Turner, who we saw absolutely demolish the ball in the World Baseball Classic. He goes over to Philly. So Dodgers are missing a few pieces. Not sure what the health of Clayton Kershaw is. That guy's been in and out of the line. Clayton Kershaw is almost a paradox to me, Matt, because he seems to never be on the field, but yet has an MVP and 3 Cy Youngs, and quote, I don't know where the camera is, a bubble championship and the short season. I wanted to ask you that when we get to basketball about the bubble, but bubble butt. There you go. So the NL West will we hit a June swoon? Is that where it could have been an April Fool's joke that the Rockies started off 2-0.
I hate that the Rockies started off 2-0. I absolutely hate it because like you mentioned, Clayton Kershaw, San Diego is supposed to be pretty good. So yeah, the Rockies can be good in April, they'll be good in May, but then it doesn't matter. It really does. We've been here before. We've seen it before. We've got all excited before. We've done this. I feel like we do it almost every freaking season, almost. Where they're good. Well, wait till the June swoon. We already said that. April Fools, is kind of happening. Just wait till all that happens. I guess at this point, Mike, I mean, we can go through the same things again and wait till June to be hurt again, and just that's like what we are supposed to do as Rockies fans. That's our lives. That's our life as Rockies fans, is we just get hurt over and over again. We get excited, then we get hurt because the Padres are going to be better. The Dodgers, remember that year when they were really good, the Rockies, and it was always, well, here come the Dodgers. The Dodgers are going to get better. The Dodgers are going to come back. The Dodgers are going to take over. And what happened? The Dodgers came back, the Dodgers took over, and the Rockies did what they usually do. So yeah, I want to get so excited, dude. I want to just dump that all over, that purple Kool-Aid all over me, but I don't know if I will. It's too cold to do that.
And
anyway.
it's sticky.
It's really sticky, isn't it?
All right, so there's a couple of there's only 4 undefeated. This is crazy that we're talking undefeated baseball teams when there's still 161 games left. But Texas 2-0, Minnesota 2-0, Tampa Bay 2-0. So 3 of the division winners so far, leaders so far in the American League, are all 2-0, and then the Atlanta Braves are also 2-0. Rockies, how about this? The only team to start off the opening weekend in a 4-game set. So there's your stat of the week. Before we move on here, Matt, totally forgot about all of the socials that you can follow us and follow the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Make sure you like both Facebook pages, the Rocky Mountain Sports Network and Elevation 5280 Sports, and like the Rocky Mountain Sports Network on Instagram at RockyMTNSN. Follow all of us on Twitter, RMS Sports Network, Matt Mascarenas1, and I am at Michael Spillin, or at 5280 Sports Radio. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. That's the same as the Twitter, 5280 Sports Radio. Leave a comment, text us. The number's on the bottom of the screen, 720-375-2341. So, yeah, Rockies get going. It's fun that baseball's back. Home opener coming up this Thursday as they welcome in the Washington Nationals. And speaking of a rebuilding team, the Nationals just got rid of everybody a couple years ago, Matt. I think Bryce Harper was the first kind of to kick that off. They didn't want to pay him. He goes to Philly. And we know what he did there. They trade Trey Turner to the Dodgers last season.
That was crazy.
Had a pretty good end to the season last season with the Dodgers. He goes to Philadelphia, and with the big contract because Dodgers weren't going to pay him, apparently. So the Phillies did. Juan Soto gets traded to the San Diego Padres, and everyone's just going everywhere. Only one that remains, Matt, is Steven Strasburg somehow, as he's like a Clayton Kershaw, just in and out of that lineup.
What's that dude's contract situation? It's got to be still freaking crazy, wasn't it? I remember it was out of
like 10 or 12 years
back then. That's got to be the biggest reason why he's still there. He just can't stay healthy.
I think it was a 10 or 12 year, one of those crazy, those crazy baseball contracts.
Yeah.
And also we will get to our best number 2s coming up here towards the end of the show. So keep an eye out for that. I want to get into this NCAA tournament, Matt, because we mentioned at the top of the show, the phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark has just been sweeping the nation, and now the Iowa Hawkeyes will take on LSU in the national championship game today, Matt. That is going down today, the men's tournament. The UConn Huskies will take on the San Diego, a lot of San Diego today. That's weird. San Diego State Aztecs. And how about this, Matt? The last time that either of these teams made it this far, Kemba Walker was the point guard for the UConn Huskies, and Kawhi Leonard was on the San Diego State Aztecs. So
Yeah.
That was the last time that either of these teams have made it this far, and that men's tournament will go down tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. You placing any? You placing any money down on the? Have you been placing any money down on these games?
I did a couple weeks, or not a couple weeks ago, but last week I did. This week I did not. But I would, man, that Caitlin Clark over bet. I bet you,
over
I bet you there's a lot of people that are looking at that and looking at what they can make there. Because I've watched that LSU team a lot. I love Kim Mulkey as a coach. Angel Reese, when she gets going, is pretty freaking good. But the Clark phenomenon, the Clark bus, I just don't know if there's enough going on. I don't know if Kim Mulkey's outfit can overshadow or take what Caitlin Clark is going to do on the floor today. So I'm excited. And my wife is my wife has watched the majority of these basketball games, the women's basketball games that I have watched, and I've watched a lot of them. She's watched a lot of them with me, and she's a big Caitlin Clark fan. She loves Kim Mulkey. And so, and she was Dawn Staley too. I mean, we were talking about, we were watching that game. It was a great game. And I'm excited. I've never been as excited to watch and I'm not joking. Like, I don't have any dog in the hunt as far as teams go, but I haven't been this excited to watch a March Madness final championship game in a long time, men's or women's. And in my opinion, I don't know how you feel about this, Mike, but I think the women's tournament has been a lot more exciting and just flat out better than the men's tournament. I don't know how you feel about it, but just flat out better than the men's tournament.
Yeah, it's been crazy. And like I said, Caitlin Clark sweeping the nation. So we will have a number 2 seed versus a number 3 seed in Iowa and LSU, respectively. As we mentioned, Katie Clark, 41 points in each of the last 2 games for Iowa. And I don't know, I was watching her highlights yesterday, Matt, just unbelievable, just sweeping by people. Not to mention 7 to 6 rebounds in the last one as well. And I don't know if you saw her press conference, just, everything obviously is going to be asked about her game, and she deflects and gives all the credit to teammates and coaches. So that's pretty cool to see as well, when you score 41 points in a Final Four game, to give all the credit to your teammates as well. But I was kind of like you, didn't really put any money down this week. Maybe today, if there's some good parlays out there.
That's what I'm looking for. Parlays, baby, for sure.
Yeah. For the Rockies home opener, Matt, I did a 12-leg parlay, and I only missed 2. So everything was all part of the plan, but it didn't.
I was doing really well on those parlays with the Nuggets and the Jokers rebounds, and putting those over rebound. And there's some other things that I was really doing well with, combining some of the NBA parlays with these college parlays. I'm going to look at these overs today. I'm definitely going to look at the overs today with the Iowa and LSU game, because that could be something to where, like, are you going to bet on Caitlin still doing what she does? Or are you going to bet on LSU slowing her down in some way, shape, or form? So that's kind of where I'm looking at too. If I'm going to put money down, that's kind of where I'm looking. And I'm not a big, hey, take my bets kind of guy, but that's what I'm really looking at how those lines are going to be, especially in parlay situations.
Yeah, so we'll see. Keep an eye on that. Only thing I'm sad about the women's tournament, Matt, is that Miami got knocked out, so you will not see the Cavender twins out there.
I enjoyed watching the Cavender twins. Don't get me wrong.
I enjoyed
very much watching the Cavender twins, and also, you just think about the players that we've got to see in this tournament. Haley Van Lith, what she was doing was freaking tremendous. We got to watch a Buffalo team that lost to this Iowa team and played them pretty well down the stretch, but Caitlin just took over, and there's a lot of this women's tournament to really be excited and look forward to next season. But I was just floored by how exciting the women's tournament was. And I'm going to be honest with you, Mike, like, I might get a lot of hate for this, but I could care less about UConn and San Diego State. I just really could. I could care less about that game. Like I'm not even. I'm going to watch wrestling and I'll look and see. Well, you're not a true. I don't care about that game. I just don't care about it.
Yeah, you mentioned you like to see the Cavender twins on the court. I like to watch their Snapchat. So if
They have a Snapchat. Oh wow.
Yeah, it is.
I found their Instagram the other day.
Yeah, it's almost as good as their Instagram. And they have a combined Instagram, and then they have separate social medias as well. So, and I'm just saying this because they're easy on the eyes to look at. So that's why.
Very skillful basketball players too.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I did like. I don't remember which one.
Very easy
I don't remember which one it was, but one of them sunk a free throw at Indiana, playing Indiana, and then shushed the crowd.
Yeah, she shushed the crowd. That was awesome. That was awesome, man. Yeah,
So,
and then I'm telling you, Mike. I think you're right there with me. This women's tournament has been really, really exciting for viewing, and I've had a lot of fun watching it.
yeah, it's been good to watch. And don't forget the women's tournament final, the national championship is today, and local time here in Denver will be. Well, hold on a minute here. Got my things confused. It'll be at 1:30 today, Matt. So kind of an early start, but
Afternoon.
It is afternoon women's championship basketball. Once again, LSU and Iowa. Really quick on the men's side, as we mentioned, Aztecs and the Huskies will get going tomorrow. That'll be for the men's championship seed. First time, I think we mentioned this at the top of the show, that there is no 1 or 2 seed in the national championship. So that is pretty crazy as well, as that'll get going tomorrow.
Do you consider UConn being like a blue blood team? Because they're historically they've kind of been in the tournament. They've been there, and you could say that the way they played this year was the reason why they were a 4 seed, but they've traditionally been looked at one of those quote unquote blue bloods. Do you think that them being in the tournament and playing and doing what they did, because they were pretty dominant? Do you think that kind of puts at least one team that is supposed to be there in this final 4 game?
I don't know. I think more people expected UConn just because they've sort of been dominant the whole tournament.
They've been pretty good, yeah.
You know, and if Florida Atlantic would have made it, I think everyone would have been losing their minds. But I don't think many people expected San Diego State to be there. I think that was more of a surprise than UConn. But I mean, UConn was just absolutely destroying people this whole tournament. And
Right.
as a I don't want to say a lower seed, but they're obviously not, as a 4 seed, they beat Miami just most recently by 13 points. San Diego only beat Florida Atlantic by 1 point on that
Right.
last second shot. So I think UConn was more. I think halfway through this tournament was more expected to do more damage than San Diego State. But I mean, a 4 against a 5, I don't think anybody would have predicted that. I don't know how many brackets predicted this national championship, but I think the Final Four was only 0.2% people predicted that Final
There was
Four.
like 37 or 35
Yeah.
brackets that had that Final Four.
Crazy.
And I don't give any credence to those people actually knowing what the hell they're doing, because I filled out brackets before, Mike. I know you've done it before too. And we've all had that losers bracket. We all had that bracket where we go, oh, we're going to pick the low seeds, or we're going to pick upsets here and then see what happens. And you just fill out that what the heck bracket. And I think that's what that was. A lot of these were the what the heck brackets. I mean, I just can't fathom somebody, 30 plus people sitting down and saying, okay, this is the way it's going to work. It was more of a, I like this mascot more than this one kind of a situation than it was these people actually knowing what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. So
I could be wrong though. I don't know. You could have some baby genius out there just filling out these brackets. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, 37 people did it. So I'm assuming, and I don't know how some of these get down to these, just the science behind it all. And I don't have the mental capacity to go back and look at the previous matchups and all that kind of stuff. So
it doesn't make any sense because of the tournament, like to do that and be like, oh man, like this team has to beat this team, because it's a one game, one and done deal. And any team can play crappy any night. Any team can play great any night. And that's why the tournament is, pretty exciting and unpredictable. But yeah, having that many right was pretty impressive. It's impressive, but it's kind of like, how'd you get that? How'd you get to that point? Did you have did you have your daughter or your dog? Did you have your dog go and pick out which treat he wants from each team? And then that's how you got there. Like that's how I feel like these guys got to their brackets.
It is funny though, because about 6 or 7 years ago, I did do like a mascot bracket.
Yeah, me too.
And I got pretty far actually, but obviously did not turn out too well. But
because there's still some aspect of, well, that's just not smart thinking if you're going to pick this team to beat that team,
Yeah. So,
but we were proven wrong this year with all the upsets that we had.
There you go. So women's national championship today, 1:30, and the men's national championship will be tomorrow at 7:20 on CBS PM, not AM. So don't get up early for that one unless you're pretty up. So there you go. Staying on the hardwood, Matt. We already have to redo our intro because we talk about the Nuggets and this playoff push, and we haven't got a chance to talk really about. Did we get a chance to talk about Embiid missing?
No, we haven't, because that happened on Monday.
So Embiid played in back-to-back games against, and this was the weekend. Nuggets played Philadelphia last week on Monday, and got the win. But before that, on Friday and Saturday, Joel Embiid played against Phoenix, and I forgot who the second team was, had a day off on Sunday, and then all of a sudden has been quiet all year about the MVP, comes out Monday morning in an interview with Shams saying, why is there so much pressure on me? Why isn't there pressure on a guy who's won back-to-back MVP, stuff like that? We all know he's taking shots at Joker and yada, whatever. And then decides not to play in a possible MVP matchup with Jokic on Monday night, primetime TV. Was that prime? No, or was that on?
It was on NBA TV actually,
which is dumb. Which is dumb. It should have been on. It should have been on an ESPN or a TNT or something like that. But maybe they knew. Maybe they knew that Embiid wasn't going to play, so they were like, whatever. So he ducks that game. Nuggets get the win. Joker has a triple-double, whatever. Fast forward a couple of days, Joker sits out, and Nuggets lose. And then everybody decides to take the day off yesterday, against Phoenix, and they lose once again. And are you a fan of this? I understand. I guess it's a double-edged sword for me, Matt, because you want to rest these guys, especially guys like Aaron Gordon, who doesn't just seem right all year.
Right.
He was the only guy who suited up the other night, and then everyone just gets a day off. It seemed like nobody made the trip to Phoenix. And guess what? Phoenix is supposed to be all this Western Conference favorite now, getting Durant. They only beat a G League Nuggets team by 7 points.
Right.
And it was one of the lowest totals that the Nuggets have gave up in the last, I want to say 10 games, man. They only gave up 100 points. When before that, they were averaging giving up near 112.
Yep.
So they actually played pretty decent defense for not having four starters even make the trip down to Phoenix. So, and the game before that, Matt, that I was referencing where Joker decided to sit out with, ironically, like Joel Embiid with a calf injury. And that was the New Orleans. As a back-to-back, you were maybe not expecting at least some of the starters to play at least one of those games, but Joker didn't play in both of those games. He's still somehow leading the MVP poll now because of Embiid ducking the matchup with Jokic. But now the Nuggets will play against the Warriors today, who Warriors are making a strong playoff push. That might be a primetime game, Matt. It's at 6:30 tonight. And do you like this? It's on NBA TV, by the way, again, tonight's game.
Oh, yeah.
I understand load management, man. I understand resting guys, but don't you want to be in a rhythm and or have great chemistry heading into the playoffs? I understand. You want everyone at 100% come playoff time.
Yeah.
But as we've seen in previous years, Matt, resting guys, having all these long breaks can hurt you come playoff time. And it's a double-edged sword. I don't know which side of the fence I'm on. I want to see these guys play. Speaking of the Cavender twins, they were at that Phoenix Nuggets game on Friday night via their social media. So
Snapchat.
there you go. Snapchat. I mean, your fans, you want to see Joker versus Embiid, and you go to. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't really. I think they announced it mid-morning. Early afternoon.
It was early. Yeah, it was fairly early.
But people pay outrageous prices to go see these players, especially. I think Phoenix is another one of those games, Matt. You want to see both of those teams at their best. Mm-hmm. Phoenix didn't rest anybody, but they weren't coming off a back-to-back. But I don't know. I don't know where I stand, Matt, but it makes me angry. But on the other hand, I guess I understand it, but I still hate it.
I agree with you. I go back and forth with it. And like our guy here, Dreamweaver 10, I just saw a comment pop up here on YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and go watch on YouTube like our guy Dreamweaver 10 is here. Embiid is a total joke, and votes will reflect that. That's like we'll go back to that Monday game. I feel like that was a big FU to the Nuggets. What Embiid, Doc Rivers, if you want to call it Doc Rivers, Philadelphia, however you want to call it, that was a big FU to the Nuggets. That was a big, we don't respect you. We don't respect what you guys are going on. You're not number one seed, whatever. We're gonna sit all our guys. That was more of that situation. And yeah, I feel like Embiid was hurt, but in my opinion, if he was hurt, and load management was a whole situation for them. And that's what they're doing. We're getting ready for playoffs, blah, blah, blah. You could have still done that. And had Embiid and Harden play, because they played the very next game they played. The very next game they went out there and played. I think it was against, was it Dallas, I think? They went out there and played.
And they barely beat Dallas.
And they barely beat Dallas. They were losing to Dallas too. And what I thought about that was like, if you care as much about this MVP and you wanted to bury it, because Embiid could have came out and buried Nikola Jokic and this MVP race once and for all if he would have went out and played, because everybody was still referencing the game in January. Why does Embiid need to come out and do this? Because he already smoked him in January in Philly. He already scored. He put up 47 and blah, 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 and they won in a blowout victory. And even then, via Twitter, I was saying that Embiid could have won the MVP right there. Embiid played like an MVP. He had an MVP performance. He did it. I was okay with that. Fast forward up until now, they could Embiid those two games that they played. I think they lost both of them. Didn't they lose both of them? That Embiid played prior before that. I'm pretty sure they might have won 1-1, something like that. But I think they could have set him there. Hey, we got a big game coming up against Joker. You've been whining all year about what do I have to do what do I have to do? I don't know what I got to do. I maybe you should play more basketball games. That's number one, which we just saw that the NBA collective bargaining agreement came out with a mandatory like 65 games, something like that you have to play to be eligible for postseason awards or regular season awards, I should say. And I think that if he didn't cry or wasn't doing all this whining, he goes in this. I don't know when they sat down with Shams and he did that, but it came out. Bad timing came out. A lot of people killed him. Kendrick Perkins, our boy Kendrick Perkins, destroyed him after that. I think they could have planned that better, and they still could have got the matchup in. You still could have got that matchup in with load management. I believe that. And as far as that situation goes, I feel like it was a big FU, a disrespectful kind of thing to the Denver Nuggets, saying we're just going to sit him anyway. We don't care. We're going to sit him anyway, and he's still going to win the MVP. Well, what happened? The very next day, Nikola goes up on top again in a straw poll. And then after that, Embiid's on the floor, Harden's on the floor, everybody's going. So I thought from that perspective, it was disrespectful, and it was a gesture at, we don't care about you. You're not, it was that's what I felt like it was. Now, with the Nuggets and what Joker is, from our perspective, Joker's missed 8 games total before he missed these past 2 games or something like that. It was very, very, he plays as much as he can. I think
I was gonna say it's ironic that they changed it in the most recent CBA to 65 games, because guess how many games that Joel Embiid has missed? He's missed 15.
15.
And how about this stat for you? No MVP has missed more than 15 games since 1977, Matt. And guess who that was? Bill Walton.
Bill freaking Walton, yeah.
And he only played in, I want to say he only played in 30-something games that year and somehow still won the MVP. I don't know what was going on in 77, Matt. Apparently everyone was tripping on shrooms, but some kind of hallucinogenics back then. But I don't know. 77 was a strange year, I guess.
Yeah, and like our boy Dreamweaver said here, I paid $250 a ticket for the Nuggets game in Minneapolis that we rested all our stars 20 minutes before the tip. And from that perspective, man, that's where this load management stuff sucks. That is where it absolutely sucks for these fans for fans that pay to go see their games, to go watch their team, and then they don't play. That's where it does suck. And that's where it can come into a situation where we're sitting here, like you said, we're trying to get in a rhythm, and you want to be playing your best ball going into the playoffs. And I don't know if we can fully say the Nuggets have been playing their best ball. I don't think they have been. Yeah, you can say that the Phoenix game, and they were down 27 in that third quarter, got battled all the way back to close within 7 or something like that, to get it within a single digit with the G League team. And Christian Brown, what he's been doing, Reggie Jackson finally kind of got going in that game. So you want to see that stuff happen. But from a fan's perspective, when you're going in there and you're dropping that much money to go be, because you're going there to see, I get that. I get it. And from that perspective, it sucks. It does suck. But from the coach and the team's perspective, I think Nicole is truly hurt and he's truly getting some rest. I feel like Jamal Murray has been kind of truly aching, hurt, and he needs to get rest and healthy. I get that from those two guys.
Yeah,
but like going here, Dreamer said again, the Embiid hasn't played here since 2019. Going back to the Embiid stuff. He hasn't played it, and they lost that game, and it was to a Nikola Jokic game winner over. I think it was Nikola that dropped it over top of him. So when you go to that from that perspective, Embiid's a punk. Embiid's a buster. Like our boy said here, he's a punk. He's a buster, man. So I get both perspectives. From a fan, load management sucks, but from the coaching perspective, Greg Popovich, got to go thank him. It held, like he wants his players ready for the playoffs. I get that aspect of it. With this Nuggets team in particular, man, I don't know. I believe in Nikola Jokic. That's what I know. But I don't know about these other guys. I'm starting to lose faith in Jamal a little bit, starting to lose faith in Michael Porter Jr. I think Michael Malone's losing faith in Michael Porter Jr. a little bit. So I'm very, very curious coming down the stretch here to see if this all shakes out with this rest and stuff like that. Did you see what Michael Malone said about Thomas Bryant?
Yeah, he said, somebody asked him like why he can't get in a rhythm, and he said, I can't answer that. Well, you should go ask him. It's like, well, how can he get in a rhythm when he doesn't play?
Exactly.
Like that's why you're being asked that question, Malone.
So Malone, you either say, hey, I give him opportunities to get in rhythm. He can't get in rhythm, but instead you just straight up throw the guy. I felt like he straight up. I mean, he didn't blame him, but he basically did in a sense, like go ask him. I don't know. You got to put him on the floor, give him minutes. Yeah. So and then Reggie Jackson, he hasn't played in I think 3 or 4 games. And this was supposed to be a big deal. It was supposed to be a big signing after a buyout signing. It was supposed to be the biggest one. Like we were supposed to have gotten the best guy, and it looks like now we should have went after Russell Westbrook if we're not going to use this guy. So I was happy that he got going. Maybe this gets him going, Reggie Jackson, because I think he can be a big part of this team and this bench going forward in the playoffs. But you got to get these guys going, man.
Well, and that was going to be my next question is I like I said, I understand resting guys. It kind of if you're in Phoenix, if you're a Phoenix fan, you wanted to see a full strength Phoenix team go against a full strength Nuggets team, because I don't know what kind of preview that's going to be in the playoffs. I don't know if these teams will ever play each other in the playoffs, but as a fan of both teams, you wanted to see on a Friday night, Matt, after work, after a long week of work, you go to a Phoenix Suns game, you want to see both teams at full strength.
Yep.
And so there's that. Also, my question is, I get resting Joker, Murray, Gordon, KCP was sick. I understand all that, but was this the opportunity? Because Malone's been struggling with the bench rotation, Christian Brown has earned his minutes. He's going to get minutes and stuff like that. Jeff Green's a veteran. He'll do whatever, but maybe this was the chance for Malone to mix and match guys without having to worry about minutes for the starters. And, obviously I don't know about you, but I'm unable to watch these games because of the whole altitude thing. So I don't really see what's going on throughout the game. I only can see the highlights, which obviously they just show the best parts of the game in the highlights. So I don't really know what's working, what's not. So maybe this was the opportunity for Malone to give Thomas Bryant 30 minutes. Just see what happens. Give Reggie Jackson, like you said, he did play yesterday or the other day because, Murray wasn't playing. Obviously, Bruce Brown is going to come off the bench in every game when it comes to that. Maybe this was that chance for Malone to give these guys minutes together. 30 minutes together. Put Thomas Bryant out there for 30 minutes. Do it. I get he doesn't fit in when the starters are out there, but come playoff time, Matt, if you don't have any of these rotations set, you're screwed. Because Joker can't go out there and play 40 minutes. Like, I'm sure he can, and he probably wouldn't complain about it, but he's going to need a break at some point. But, Murray, MPJ, all these guys, you're not going to play them 40-plus minutes every night. So this was your chance to do that with sitting these guys.
And what we're going to run into if we don't get that bench, like you mentioned, if we don't get this rotation, if we don't have a good guy that could come off the bench and give Murray a rest, because I don't know, I would think Malone's still going to stagger Jokic or Murray with the second unit in the playoffs. I feel like the bench might even get shorter in the playoffs. But like you said, you got to figure out who the hell that bench is going to be. And like you mentioned, get these guys some minutes. You got Peyton Watson, who's been kind of dinking around in the G leagues. He came back up. This guy's a long four stretch four, maybe five, but he's more of a four kind of a guy, maybe a long three at some point, but he's definitely more of that 4-5 kind of a guy. And you saw in 27 minutes, he only scored 5 points, but defensively, he's blocking shots. He's getting active on the defensive end. He's doing a lot of things over there that you were kind of hoping you would get from a Thomas Bryant kind of, sort of, maybe from a DeAndre Jordan kind of, sort of. And in this game, Thomas Bryant didn't even play. He got 0 minutes. Jeff Green didn't even play. Now, maybe he was at Jeff Green's, Unc Jeff, kind of old man, get him some rest kind of situation. But like you said, thought Thomas Bryant maybe get some more run here. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see now that Zeke Naji gets him a little bit more healthy, and I think he's even on the injury report for today. I didn't look at it, but you see Zeke Naji get a little bit more healthy. And if Reggie Jackson keeps doing the things, I don't know if Peyton Watson's going to be a part of this rotation in the playoffs. I don't know. I don't know if he's ready for that, but he could be. He could be somebody got that just for defense, because he will get you that. He'll put out in the effort, just like Christian Brown. I don't know how much run he's going to get in the playoffs. You think he would get a bunch because of coming down the stretch here recently, but there's still some stuff with Michael Malone. When you watch him with these young guys, he loses it real quick with them. He loses the trust with them, and he pulls them, sets them. You're done. It doesn't go back to him. So I don't know if that's a young guy thing. I don't know if there's more to it. I don't know if it's a Michael Malone thing. But like you said, I agree 100%. This bench needs to be a hell of a lot better if this Nuggets team's going to go far in the playoffs. Because right now, I'm worried about you get to that Western Conference Finals, and you got Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray just freaking gassed because they averaged 40+ minutes a game in the previous playoff series, and we don't want that. You can't do that. We can't have that.
Yeah, so they will only 5 games left in the season, Matt. Golden State tonight, 6:30. They will travel to Houston on Tuesday, at Phoenix again. They go to Phoenix again on Thursday. They'll play at Utah on Saturday, finish up the season a week from today against a very good Sacramento Kings game. So you hope by the time it gets to at least the Houston game, they have already clinched the number 1 seed. I think Memphis keeps winning somehow. So I think the magic number is still 3, Matt. It's still 3. We'll let me double check here. It's 2 now.
Yeah, it's 3.
Memphis is 2 games behind the Nuggets, so the magic number is now 3. So Denver sits 51-26. Memphis 49-28. Phoenix, as we mentioned, that 4 seed. Golden State. How about the Warriors, Matt?
Mhm.
Climbing up too. They now are at that 5 seed. Clippers at 6. The play-in tournament goes New Orleans, Lakers, Minnesota, and OKC. Dallas has fallen out, Matt. Crazy. I think they're like 2-7 since the Kyrie Irving trade, which sucks.
They're
for them.
not very good. They're not very good.
Yeah, so only 5 games left in the season, Matt. Let me ask you a couple more questions before we move on from basketball. Number one is, did you think that they did the Thomas Bryant deal because they did not think that Zeke Naji would be back this soon? Because Zeke is pretty good defensively. He'll get a bucket here and there. And maybe that explains why Thomas Bryant is not fitting in, not getting playing time. Do you think that was made because they didn't expect Zeke to be back this soon? Because I mean, that's the only reason I can think of why you make that trade. I understand it was a 3-team trade. Bones goes, Lakers, Clippers deal, whatever. Wasn't Minnesota part of that something too? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I think because it was interesting because they gave a Devon Reed a part. That was a part of that deal too. And defensively, that was the dude that was shutting down LeBron James a couple seasons ago when they first got him over here. So that was interesting too. But yeah, I was curious. I think they were just trying to add bigs and they looked at him as that type of big that they wanted, that he was doing the type of things because he was averaging, I can't remember exactly how much, but I want to say it was double digits. I want to say 10 or 11. It might have been a little bit less than that, but he was playing pretty well there with the Lakers before the trade. And yeah, there is something to that because Zeke Naji was a big part of that rotation while the Denver Nuggets were one of the best defensive teams. I think it was like the month of January. They were really playing good defensively. And then, Zeke gets hurt. He had a couple other injuries, and then the whole Bones situation, that the stuff that he was doing was kind of melting into all that. And then all of a sudden, you trade these guys, you get these guys up, and then now Zeke's kind of coming back, and you can kind of see Zeke, how important Zeke is to that rotation. And yeah, I think that could have been like, hey, just in case, man, we better get a guy that's kind of similar to what this guy does. And they went over and made that trade. So yeah, you could definitely, I could see that. I could see that they could have. And now, was it exactly that way? I don't know, but I could see that type of mentality to get that guy over there. But it's just a lack of production that Thomas Bryant it's zero. He hasn't had a flash. He hasn't had anything. At least Reggie Jackson has had a couple flashes. He's had a couple 15-point games, 13-point double-digit games. So I think, yeah, now that Zeke's back, that could spell that, Bryant doesn't get any run for sure. I think so. And I'd rather have Zeke anyway. I really would.
Yeah. You just hate to see a trade just kind of fall flat on his face. And also a signing like Reggie Jackson kind of fall flat. So hopefully
that's the one that's really getting me. Because that was supposed to be okay.
But is it just because he's a Colorado kid? Is that the reason?
I don't know. I felt, because do you remember what he did in 2019 with the Clippers?
Yeah, didn't he win? Doesn't he have a 6th man of the year under his belt?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure he does. I feel like he does, or he was in that conversation for the longest time. And I that was really confusing. Like that whole, how come he wasn't a bigger part of it? And it really made me, when I saw him come in and then just not contributing. And then Bruce Brown too. I feel like he's been up and down. He hasn't been as good as he was earlier in the season. He's not making the shots that he was. So there are some things that are a little, and Aaron Gordon, he's not healthy. Like you mentioned earlier, he's not healthy. We need to get him right because he's not right. I don't know if these guys are right now. We've talked about this at the beginning of the season. What do we all say that the biggest problem that this Nuggets team could run into is health? And they might be experiencing that right now.
Yeah. And one more thing about Embiid too. I like what after Kendrick Perkins, kind of, and you kind of brought this up on Early Bird the other day, Matt, and that's just kind of how toxic this whole conversation has gotten. Mm-hmm. And Embiid's kind of been quiet the entire year, and then Ducks, like Perkins said, like, hey, like Jokic suited up against you in Philly, you got your licks in, and yep. Joker had a decent game that game. It wasn't like he didn't play well. Embiid, just as the
He was better.
He's the vocal point of the Philadelphia offense and defense, and Jokic is more of a facilitator. That's why he averages a triple-double.
Yeah.
And Perkins went out and said, "Hey, he suited up. You got your licks on him. It was your turn to give Joker a chance to get his licks on you, and you ducked it. And
100%.
Like the comment said, Embiid hasn't played here in 2019. I don't know if you saw this circulating through the arena.
I did. That was awesome.
Yeah. So there you go.
And did you see those little whiny Philly fans? Philly fans are the worst. I thought Laker fans were bad. I really did, but I think Philly fans might be a lot worse than Lakers fans. They were going crazy about those guys. Who taught these kids how to spell? They're kids. They're kids. They made a silly poster, silly poster. They use incorrect spelling. MVPs, no first team all-stars. The whole thing is silly and funny, and it's not to be taken literal. And these Philly fans are going crazy about it. It was even Philly journalists like Philly columnists, Philly beat writers were going off on this whole thing. It's silly. It's just silly.
The only thing they misspelled was Embiid's last name because I think it has two I's.
He does have two I's, yeah.
That's the only thing they misspelled. I don't know what the problem with it was.
Yeah, they were just destroying that whole deal. But Philly fans are the worst.
All right, couple more basketball things, and we got to move on here. As we mentioned, the CBA, now the All-NBA team will be positionless, Matt. So you're not going to have an All-NBA center. So you could potentially have 5 centers make the All-NBA team as they get rid of the positions. So you can have now, they would probably give Joker an All-NBA center, and just to make him happy, they would list Embiid as a power forward just to get him on that first. But now he has an opportunity to actually make it at the position he plays. So you could potentially have 5 centers make this list if that were to happen as the new CBA gets rid of. I think this will take place next year.
Next year, I think. Yeah, pretty sure next year.
So this year will still be, all NBA point guard, all NBA, 1 through 5, which let's face it, Matt, the NBA doesn't even go by true positions anymore anyway. So maybe it's a good thing to get. So it was positionless to begin with, but now what do you make of this?
I like it. And it's great for Embiid. It's great for guys like Embiid, great for guys like Anthony Davis, the bigs that aren't bigs, the guys that play 3-4, but you could put them at 5. It's good for Giannis. It's good and we can have, because like next year you're already predicting, looking at it like you said, like you just said, you could have in the Western Conference All NBA team or just an All NBA team in general. Joker, Embiid, Anthony Davis, Giannis, and I don't know who, Jason Tatum. Like that could be an All NBA team, and put another guy, whatever else. So that's what it can do, and I like it. I don't, like you said, if the NBA is already positionless, basketball in a sense is positionless as a whole. We don't go point guard, shooting guard, power forward, shoot small forward. We don't do that anymore. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 5 can do what the 1 does, and the 4 can do what the 3 does. Like it's so crazy anyway. So it was about time. Yeah,
and it's also good for Voldemort as he can fit on that list as well. All right, man.
You can, and then isn't that funny how a lot of these things, if you really look at it, it's to shoehorn Voldemort in there, to shoehorn, Embiid in there. It's your turn, so we're going to shoehorn you in there. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm impartial to it. It didn't bother me either way. So it just kind of reminds. I know it's not a fan vote or anything like that. It's writers and players and coaches, whoever votes for that kind of thing. Obviously, I still, and I don't want to go off this whole tangent, man, but just like how All-Stars and Pro Bowls are tied into your career, Matt. Like, he's a 10-time All-Star. Yeah, but fans get 90% of the vote. So when in an 82 game season, you only play 12 games, and somehow you made the All-Star team. That's still. I
think along with that, real quick, I think the Pro Bowl is the worst.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the Pro Bowl is the dumbest thing, and it's the worst out of all of them. Well, I could give 2 craps if you say you made this many Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
Let's just look at this year for how many how many Pro Bowlers were there this year? Because the guy that was a Pro Bowl initially couldn't play in the Pro Bowl game, so you have to have somebody there.
And guess what? That guy still counts as a Pro Bowler. The guy who
Right.
can't play in the actual game still gets that pro. See, that's why they need to go by. Oh, he's a 5-time All NBA. That's what they all Pro, All NBA, stuff like that. I understand giving fans the power, because it all these leagues are kind of fan driven, obviously, but you cannot give fans that much of a percentage. I understand. Let's let the fans vote for the bench, but for the starters and stuff like that, and I don't want to go. I digress. But all right, one more piece of basketball news, Matt. The 2023 NBA, or not NBA, the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame was announced, and it's a pretty good class, Matt. Yeah. Pretty good class, as we see right here. Greg Popovich, which I still don't understand how current coaches make the Basketball Hall of Fame, but Pau Gasol, who just had his number retired by the Lakers, Dirk Nowitzki, Tony Parker, Dwayne Wade, and CSU's own Becky Hammond, Matt, will be enshrined this summer in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. And speaking of tangents, Matt, I cannot stand the Basketball Hall of Fame. I cannot stand it, Matt. It doesn't seem like there's no voting process. They let everyone in. Mm-hmm. They just let everyone in. But this class, Matt, it's got to go down as one of the best.
That's a deserving class.
It has to be one of the best, Matt. Pau Gasol, obviously a legendary career. Dirk Nowitzki, 20 plus seasons with the Dallas Mavericks with the championship. Tony Parker, it was weird to see him in a Charlotte Hornets jersey. His last season in the NBA, but a legendary Spurs player. Dwayne Wade, it was weird to see him in a Bulls and Cavs jersey, but he finally goes back home to Miami and retires there. And of course, Becky Hammond, it'll be cool, her with Colorado ties, being enshrined into the NBA or the Basketball Hall of Fame.
That's a hell of a class. And you said it right there. And Becky Hammond, not only what she did on the court, but as a coach, what she did in the NBA with the Spurs, and then wherever she ended up, and she just won a championship or a couple. I feel like as a coach,
she's the Las Vegas Aces head coach.
Yeah, and I just what she's done, and I think she almost was even considered as a head coaching position in the NBA. It's at one point too. So it's huge. That's a great class. But I do agree with you. Overall, the NBA Hall of Fame is a little like the WWE Hall of Fame.
It's not the NBA. You can't say NBA. It's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame.
Basketball Hall of Fame. Sorry, my bad.
See, and that's, a lot of people don't like the ML, like Cooperstown, the Baseball Hall of Fame, because of the voting process. But I kind of like it because it's so, what is the word I'm looking for? It's so inclusive. It's just small. It can go from 3 guys getting in to none.
Right.
Which
it means a lot to get in. And I don't want to say that's how it should be, because there are some things wrong with the old guys that are still voting, but that should be the process, right?
The Baseball Hall of Fame would be perfect, Matt, if they lowered the percentage. Maybe lower it to like 60%. Yeah. And then it would be perfect, because you can then you can get 2-3 guys going in. This year it's only Scott Rowland. Should have been Todd Helton.
Oh, no.
But
I know, because they're like the same guy in a sense, and I know
the NFL Hall of Fame is pretty good. It's pretty good,
But then you still have outliers like Gradishar that's not in.
But I mean, like, they've expanded it. You have the guys who played in the 60s and 70s. What do they call that? There's a name for like the older guys getting in now. But you could have 5-6 guys going into the NFL Hall of Fame, and then you're sitting there watching all these speeches for 5 hours, which is absolutely crazy. So maybe they need to close knit that a little bit. And the guys who played in the 60s and 70s, unfortunately, a lot of them have passed away. So you're watching daughters and wives and sons do these speeches. I get it, but the fans who want to see, the main headliners go in, you got to wait 5 hours, just like going to a concert, Matt. You're waiting like 3 hours for the headliner, and they don't get on stage till midnight, and you're like, oh my God,
you're done. You can't even make it anymore.
That's what kind of the NFL Hall of Fame reminds me of. Baseball would be perfect if they lowered the percentage to get in. It would be perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
basketball this year would be cool because of all the people that are getting in. A lot of there's a Colorado tie, a lot of Spurs ties now with Greg Popovich, Tony Parker, and Becky Hammond going in to the Hall of Fame. And I read somewhere the rumor is that Greg Popovich will actually stand up there, present, or I don't know, how they have somebody present them into the Hall of Fame. I think but in basketball they just kind of sit on a stool off to the side. They don't really say anything. But I think Greg Popovich is going to be standing up there with Becky Hammond. That's what I read anyway. I don't know.
That should be because she spent a lot of time with him on that staff. So that's awesome. That's awesome. And we love Pop. Pop was the originator of the we were just talking about it.
Load management.
Remember what he did at a game. He had Tony Parker, Tim Duncan miss a flight. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
He had to miss a flight. Oh, I don't know what happened. Oh. The originator of load management.
The OG of load management. There you go. Well, really quickly here, Matt, as we practically did an all NBA show, which kind of fits for this time of the season. But really quickly here, want to touch on the guys who share the sack with the Denver Nuggets, and that is the Colorado Avalanche. And as Dreamweaver, thank you for watching on YouTube once again. This was earlier in the show. It says, will the Nuggets or Avs get to their respective finals? The sack could be popping. The sack could be dropping in the end of May. It could be, and I remember a couple years, and it will be alternating every night, which was awesome. And at least hopefully we'll be able to watch because hopefully the playoffs will be on national TV this time. And it would suck for Avs fans not to be able to watch that team last season, and then at least you were be able to watch them in the playoffs last season and win a Stanley Cup. So that was good. And also Dreamweaver also said I'm more worried about the Nuggets than I am the Avs, and that's been going around, man. That's been the talk because the Avs obviously have done it, and they've done it last season, so they get the benefit of the doubt. And I want to touch on the Avs because we were kind of skeptical. Both them and the Nuggets were kind of going through a streak of, winning a game, dropping 3, winning 6, dropping 2, that kind of alternating. The Avs had a big matchup last Wednesday, Matt, against Minnesota. That if they would have got 2 points out of that matchup, Matt, they would have been first place in the division. And that would have been huge, huge, huge for the Avs. And then another statement game yesterday against Dallas, who was trailing them in points. They get a big win. 5-2 yesterday. So that was a big win. So in the Central Division, Minnesota still leads at 97 points. The Avs are right behind them at 96, and Dallas is actually tied, but Avs have the tiebreaker with Dallas, and they're also tied at 96 points. Vegas and Edmonton have already clinched spots, Matt. Vegas at 101 points, Edmonton at 99. And how about the Kings at 98? Wild card as it sits right now, the Seattle Kraken and the Winnipeg Jets.
The Jets.
The Jets. That's how it shapes up right now. But I was a little nervous in that Minnesota game. Placed a 3-leg parlay. Obviously didn't win, but they needed that game to get to first place. But they still have time. They still have a little bit of time to get going here. They play a kind of a weird back-to-back with the Sharks this week, Matt. Yeah. They play the Sharks in San Jose on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, they play the Sharks in San Jose again. Kind of a weird thing. 7 games left in the season, Matt, and 5 of those games are on the road. And one of them is going to be tough, Matt, against the LA Kings. That's next Saturday, primetime game. They'll come home, play Edmonton, Winnipeg, and then at Nashville on a back-to-back to end the season. But, I mean, they're like I said, the inconsistency to finish the season, just like the Nuggets, is kind of worrying me. But again, you got to give the Avs the benefit of the doubt because they were there last season. They struggled finishing out the season last season, and then went 16-2 in the playoffs to win a stand. It's kind of, or 16-4, It's kind of weird because of all 4 of those losses in the playoffs last year. You thought, oh my God, this is like soul crushing,
right?
But we forget they went 16-4 in the playoffs last season,
right? I would rather be in the Avs position than the Nuggets position. And what I mean by that is I would be, because like we talked about, you got to be playing, you got to be in a rhythm going down to the end of the season. how long have the Avs been in playing quote unquote playoff hockey? For at least 2 months now, a month and a half, maybe more than that. The whole season since everybody's getting hurt. They've been trying to stay afloat, and then now they're trying to get back into a position to better their position in the playoffs. And then you have the Nuggets that are sitting up here, fat, pretty, number 1 seed, trying to stay healthy, trying to find their rotation. Like they're trying to figure out things to do to keep them sharp. I would rather be in the Avs situation. Like I said, where they know what they have to do. They have to make the playoffs. They have to make their position better in the playoffs. The Nuggets are at 1 seed already. So from my perspective, when I'm looking at these two teams, when I'm looking at the right sack, left sack, kind of situation, and if the Avs are on the right, I kind of want to be in that position on the right, to where you are locked in and we are playing playoff hockey all the way down into the end of the stretch, trying to improve our lives in the playoffs, trying to improve our situation to get there. I would much rather be in that situation than sitting up there wondering how we're going to keep ourselves motivated. So that's a tough deal. And if you look at, like you mentioned, the Avs have already done it. They've already been there. So the Avs could be in that situation if they're the number 1 seed, sitting up high and pretty, because they've already done it. The Nuggets haven't done it yet. I do feel, even though I believe in Nikola Jokic, I do feel a little bit of worry in the rest of that Nuggets team than I do with these Avalanche team, because like you mentioned, they've already done it and they are still doing it. They are still trying to make themselves better or better position in the playoffs. So I would rather have the Avs position than what the Nuggets are in position right now. That's where I'd rather be. I like the Avs playing and doing everything they can to get better and to be better. And with everybody getting back healthy and playing better hockey. So I enjoy that. I like what the Avs are doing, and I would put more faith into them as far as where they're at right now and where they're going than I would the Nuggets. And because of the reasons why, like I mentioned, I believe in Nikola Jokic. It's those other guys that I'm kind of starting to lose belief in.
Yeah, and I think I want to say the Avs dropped 3 or 4 straight before heading into the playoffs last season. And I don't know if they were doing kind of a load management thing. I think they were resting Gabe. I think they were resting McKinnon. I could be wrong on that, but I think they were kind of ramping up for the playoffs. Well, let me ask you this before we move on to this date in jerseys: is if the Nuggets were like hanging around the 3 or 4 seed, do you think they would be load managing, or do you think they would be playing everybody?
I don't think load management would be involved. I think they'd be spot resting people. I think you'd see Jamal get a rest here. You would see Joker get a rest here, but I think that they would probably, I think this team, for the betterment of the team and to put that team in a better situation, I feel like that they should be in that 3 to 4, fighting for that 3 to 4. Yeah. I think it would make them sharper. It would put them in. There would be a little bit of it, but I don't think that much. But then that could also put into, because with Jamal Murray, you keep saying about, or we keep like remembering, he just came off of an ACL tear, a pretty big one, and he could have played last year too. Like we forget about this when coming down the stretch there, he was healthy enough to play. There was doctors and everybody was saying that he was healthy, he was ready to go. He could have went, but he didn't. So I don't give him that much of that. Like, you should be ready to go, man. That's what I'm worried about. Is I don't know if they're going to make it through the playoffs. Is he's going to be blown out?
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I like the Avs position better than the Nuggets right now.
Yeah, as they still have something to fight for. Meanwhile,
Right.
the Boston Bruins, Matt, just won their 50th game of the season yesterday. So. And they won the President's Trophy this year. They're already at 123 points. Let's not forget, this Avs team didn't win the President's Trophy last season, but they finished at 113 points. They're at 96 right now. So just kind of crazy how, story of 2 seasons kind of are playing out. They obviously can get well above 100 points this season with 7 games left. But keep in mind, 5 of those are on the road. And as they don't play again until Tuesday in San Jose. But we're going to finish out the show today, Matt, with this date in jerseys.
It's now time for This Date in Jersey, where we pick the best athletes who wore the number of the day.
Well,
The number's 555-905.
For God's sakes, just give me the damn number!
I choose business ethics.
There's 7. 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, a 3, a 5, a 4, a 3, 2, a 2, 4, 6, 4, 2, 4, 7, 5, 7, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7.
All right, this is this day in jerseys where we pick our top 5 athletes for the number of the day. So today is April 2nd, Matt. So we're going to count down our top 5 number 2s on this one. As you saw Matt's jersey, that is a preview of what's to come. But kicking it off, Matt, this guy has had a long and lengthy and you could say successful, although the falter in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and that would be number 2, Matt. Your namesake, Matt Ryan, number 2, their longtime quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, was the Atlanta Falcons quarterback for 13 seasons, Matt. And most recently with the Indianapolis Colts. He was MVP in 2016. He was NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2016, Rookie of the Year in 2008. There's that first team All-Pro, Matt, 2016. There you go, Matt. 4-time Pro Bowler. NFL passing leader in 16. The list goes on and on and on. He actually wore number 12 at Boston College, but that is retired. 381 touchdowns as opposed to 183 interceptions, 62,000 plus passing yards. And future Hall of Famer, Matt Ryan?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I would say no, but that's a really good question. I don't have any big reasons why. He never won the Super Bowl. He got there. If he would have won the Super Bowl, yeah. But he had a hell of a career, but I just don't, because you got to look. He was throwing to Julio Jones, Roddy White. He had work done. Did he have work done there? No. I don't think he had work done there, but he had Tony Gonzalez he was throwing the ball to, so he had a lot of good options there, and he had a great career, Hall of Fame worthy. I say no.
Yeah, it's. Like I said, maybe the NFL they need guys something like that. Maybe he squeaks in one of those weaker classes.
Maybe.
Maybe if he would have got to maybe 400 passing yards, maybe. Yeah, I don't know, or 400 touchdowns. He's at 381. He's not on a team. Did he officially announce his retirement?
I didn't see officially. I didn't see him officially announce his retirement, but I think the Colts might have kind of did that for him by the way they kind of.
I could see him maybe signing somewhere as a veteran backup, but I don't know. He's on the edge. MVP. All right, Matt. Number 4 on our list. You got his jersey on, and number 4 on the list, Matt, is now Coach Prime, war number 2 with the Florida State Seminoles. There you go. Matt has his jersey on right there. Dion.
I'm really proud of this jersey.
Dion played 4 years at Florida State. Had a pretty good. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame, as we mentioned. We mentioned Coach Prime back when he got hired at CU, Matt. Just all the accolades that he has. A professional baseball, professional football player. He's in the Football Hall of Fame as well. Pretty prolific, I want to say.
Yeah.
College career as well. So have that as well. In his senior season in 1988, Matt, five interceptions and a couple forced fumbles and stuff like that. So how about this, Matt? 0 sacks in 4 years at Florida State. Kind of an interesting.
That is interesting, yeah.
Interesting stat. He went on to
play afraid to tackle too. He'd get his nose dirty.
That's
interesting. I guess they never took him on a corner blitz or anything.
I guess not. But played for 5 NFL teams: Falcons, 49ers, Cowboys, Redskins, and finished up his career with the Baltimore Ravens. Also played for the New York Yankees and the Atlanta Braves, Cincinnati Reds, and the San Francisco Giants. Rounded out his baseball career with the Toronto Blue Jays. Don't know if many people knew that as
I don't remember that.
Well, he signed a minor league contract with the Blue Jays. He played for the think it was a AA, could have been AAA affiliate, the Syracuse Sky Chiefs, before the Redskins got him there. So that was kind of the end, towards the end of his. But I'm sure it was nice playing for the Braves and the Falcons, Matt.
Oh, for sure.
You could just kind of cross over. He played for the Braves from 91 to 94, and he played for the Falcons. And they overlapped 2 years, 89 to 93. So there's a 2-year overlap.
What do you remember most about his baseball? Was it the Braves or the Cincinnati time?
I want to say the Braves, but
Yeah.
I kind of remember. I think he had a pretty good couple seasons with the Yankees as well. I don't remember him on the Reds, Giants, obviously the Blue Jays. I don't think he ever made it to.
I don't remember him playing for the Giants hardly.
Yeah, and the Blue Jays, he never made it to the pro club. He only played in 52 games, Matt, in 1995 with the Giants. He hit 280 with 5 home runs and 8 stolen bases. So I think that was more of a trade deadline move than it was.
I think so too. Yeah.
There you go.
But hey, he has changed and revolutionized Colorado football, and so CU athletics in general has gotten a big raise in viewing since Coach Prime has been there.
Oh yeah, and they sold out their one and only spring game, and it's going to be on ESPN.
45,000 or something like that, right?
Yeah, crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
6. I think in the past whatever years, there's been the most has been at that spring game is 6,000.
Yeah,
thought I read that.
It's going to be on ESPN 8, the Ocho. All right, number 3 on our list, Matt. Another Denver athlete cracks our list. Number 3 for our number 2s is Alex English, former Denver Nuggets, who wore number 2. Alex English actually played with the Nuggets for 10 seasons, Matt, from 80 to 90, but that was only the middle of his career. Started with the Milwaukee Bucks, Indiana Pacers, Nuggets, and rounded out his career with the Dallas Mavericks in 1991. But most of his damage was done with the Denver Nuggets, Matt. He was an 8-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA second team. He won the scoring championship in 83 while he was a Denver Nuggets. His number 2 is obviously hanging up there in the sack. If you go to a Nuggets or a Navs game, he actually wore 22 in college with the South Carolina team that he played for. Averaged 21.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, almost 4 assists. He's also in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. Kind of interesting, Matt. That's what I mean. No MVPs, no championships, but he is a Hall of Famer. You're on mute there, Matt. Matt, you're on mute.
I don't know how that happened.
I
don't know. But anyway, Alex English, like one of the greatest Nuggets basketball players of all time. That scoring title that he did, I was doing some research on this when you said that scoring title was really, really, really exciting to watch. Back then, what it looked like, it was really a lot of stuff going on. But the Denver Nuggets, one of the greatest Denver Nuggets ballers of all time is Alex English. You know, I never really got to see him play. Not old enough. I wasn't born yet. But it was great to know that dude was on our team. And the great Nuggets teams. Yeah, Kiki Vandeweghe on that team, and it was very interesting to say the least on that whole deal with that scoring title. Was pretty cool.
Yeah, I know it was good to squeeze a Denver athlete on our list. Number 2 for our number 2s is Moses Malone, wore number 2 primarily with the Philadelphia 76ers. Passed away, unfortunately, 8 years ago at the age of 60. Played for a lot of teams, Matt. You started with the Utah Stars. How about the Utah Stars, which was in the ABA back in the mid to late 70s, 74 to 75. Spirits of St. Louis. How about that? Another ABA team. This is how far Moses Malone goes back. But that's kind of a cool name, Spirits of St. Louis.
That is pretty cool. I like it.
And then the Buffalo Braves, obviously another part of the ABA teams, and it was chosen to be part of the merger between the NBA and the ABA. And then he went on to play for the Houston Rockets for 6 years. Philadelphia was his most notable time, only played there for 4 seasons, but a lot of people remember that the most. Finished out his career 95 with the San Antonio Spurs, but he was an NBA championship in 1983 with the 76ers. And he was an NBA Finals that year, 12-time All-Star, 3-time MVP, Matt, 79, 82, and 83. And the list goes on and on and on. 29,000 points, 17,000 rebounds, and just over 1,800 assists. And he's in, obviously, the Basketball Hall of Fame. And his number 2 is retired by the 76ers.
He didn't play. He didn't do any time with Jackie Moon in the Tropicanas?
It doesn't say here. The closest he got, I think, was the Spirits of St. Louis.
Darn it. That would have been great if he was on that. Those old school ABA teams, when we do these numbers like this and we come up with these guys like this, I like to hear about those old school ABA teams like that. Yeah, great career, Mose Malone. Talked about a lot, and one of those ballers, those old school ballers that you always remember and like to go to for sure when you talk about old school ballers. Mose Malone.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like I mentioned, passed away in 2015. Number 1 on our number 2 list, Matt, is the captain, and that will be number 2, Derek Jeter from the New York Yankees. Played his entire career, Matt, with the New York Yankees from 1995 to 2004. It was inducted 3 years ago into the Baseball Hall of Fame. He got 90, almost unanimous, man, 99.75% of the vote. 14-time All-Star, 5-time World Series champion. He won the World Series MVP in 2000, Rookie of the Year in 96, 5-time Gold Glove Award winner at shortstop, 5-time Silver Slugger, 2-time Hank Aaron Award. He also throw a Roberto Clemente Award in there as well. And obviously, his number 2 is retired by the New York Yankees. He's got his little plaque out there in Memorial Park at the new Yankee Stadium. How about this, man? Average 310 hitting, which is pretty darn good. Over 3,400 hits. He wasn't a power hitter, Matt, but he still had 260 career home runs, and capping that off with 1,300 RBIs. So there you go.
You said all that, and that sounds freaking great. But man, is he underrated or is he overrated?
I don't think he was. I think he was a pretty.
If he wasn't a Yankee, would he have done the same stuff? I know that's one of those questions, but I did not like Derek Jeter. I was not a Derek Jeter fan.
I don't like the Yankees, period. But
I don't either.
The respect. I'm more of a respect where respect is due.
Yeah, I can see that. I just like Mariano Rivera. That dude was a beast, because that was more of that you put that guy in a situation to go out there and do it. He did it, but I think there was so much around Derek Jeter that he didn't have an opportunity to fail. All he could do was go out there and win. That sounds totally stupid. I'm trying. I just did not like Derek Jeter. I was not impressed with anything he did on the field. I know he said all those numbers and everything, but for me, I look at him and it's like, those are Yankee numbers. I don't know if those are Derek Jeter numbers. And I know that probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but for me, Derek Jeter was just not one of who's not a player that I could look at and be like, yeah, that dude he's part of why the Yankees are great. I thought it was more of like the Yankees made him great. You know what I mean?
But is it really his fault?
It's not. I'm blaming it on him.
We all know Steinbrenner is going to spend money, obviously. So was it really his fault that he was on good teams? I mean, the Yankees.
I know. I get it. I know, but
I mean, the Yankees didn't make him bat 310 as a career batting. The Yankees didn't make him win 5 Gold Gloves at a shortstop position.
But he's on the Yankees. He's on the most visible franchise in baseball history. And I just felt like he's got that golden spoon in his mouth. And that he ate from that thing his entire career.
I mean, again, is it his fault?
It's not his fault. I get that. It's not his fault, but I could not like him. It was so hard for me to like him. It was so hard for me to, like you said, give respect. Because I I give respect. I hated Kobe Bryant when he was a Laker, but I gave respect to him because I knew what he could do as a player. I just look at Derek Jeter and I'm just like, I don't know. I get what you're saying though. I get what you're saying. It was just hard for me.
I get what you're saying too. All the spotlight's going to be on him because he was a Yankee. There was a good team around him and stuff like that. But again, being a Yankee is not going to win you 5 Gold Gloves. I mean, Brandon Rogers won Gold Glove at second base last year. I don't know how he won Gold Glove on a 68-win Rockies team.
Yeah,
that's crazy. He really was the best fielding second baseman in the National League last year. That's great. That was crazy for me to believe in. But I guess he was. But yeah, I mean.
Because if you look at the lineup he had, and I know it's not his fault. But just look at the lineup where it was surrounded. I mean, it was just those Yankee teams were so freaking good and so stacked and so loaded. Like what if you're not going to go out there and you're not going to do what all those accolades, everything he's done out there, then around with that team on the field. It's just tough for me. I know there's the aspect of he was a great player on a great team. I get that aspect of it. But for me, he just did not do anything for me. He did not move any type of needle for me.
Yeah, and you can kind of look at it both ways like I do. Like, yeah, the spotlight's going to be on him because he was on those Yankees teams. But also playing in New York, especially the Yankees, there's a lot of pressure on you. And
it's tough, right?
I think honestly, being a guy who wasn't a home run hitter by any means. I think his longevity is the only reason he had even 260 career home runs because he played for 20 years. I think that's the only reason his home run numbers were up there. Didn't have only 1,300 RBIs. I mean, that's not really a ton. And I get, he batted leadoff and second for most of his career, so there's not a lot of guys on base for him to drive in. But I mean, it was kind of cool that his 3,000th hit was a home run at Yankee Stadium. I guess that's what I remember from Jeter. But I mean, again, I don't take anything away from him. I get you're on a good team, a good player on good teams, or great, like you said, great player on great teams. But I mean, with the spotlight on you pretty much all the time, I think he stepped up into it. And again, I'm not a Jeter homer or a Yankees fan by any means. But
yeah, I know. It's a fun conversation, and there's a lot of players out there that just don't rub that for me. I'm looking at it, and I that's why I understand when some players go at certain other players that I like, and I get it, but it's a fun conversation. I mean, those Yankee teams, they were just tremendous, just crazy.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable run that the Yankees made from the late '90s to the mid 2000s, and being the captain of those teams, it was had to put him on the list, though. Had to put him on the number.
No,
2.
I agree. He deserves to be on it. He's one of the best number 2s. Yeah, I agree 100%. Just for me, it was like it's just the whole aspect. It's fun. It's a fun conversation.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get into that on one of our next episodes. Great players on. Maybe if they were on
great players on great teams, or were they really great, or something like that?
Yeah, place Derek Jeter on the Rockies. Does he get that much notoriety? And again, I had no idea that Brandon Rogers even won the Gold Glove last season.
I didn't know that, Mike. When you just said that now, I can't even fathom that. That's like Trevor Siemian being in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, it was just absolutely crazy. I mean, back when DJ was here and Trevor Story was here, Nolan was here. I mean, Nolan won what? 5 straight Gold Gloves at third base for the Rockies.
Yep.
But Brandon Rogers on a 6th. I mean, that was crazy. And I just found that out.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. That's wild.
I was like, he was really the best fielding second baseman last season?
I didn't know they give Rockies awards.
They have to. I think that's part of it. They have to.
Is that like the student of the month award? Like you'll get it sometime?
Yeah. You're gonna win one. You're gonna win something.
Yeah,
just like
you'll win something at the end of the year. You're the last kid to win student of the month, and the year's over. And why did you win student of the month? Because you wrote your name on the sheet this time. Yay!
So there you go. That'll wrap
How was
up.
that kid, by the way?
That'll wrap up our show today, rounding it up with this date in jerseys in case you missed it. It was a pretty decent list, Matt. Number 2's was good list.
I liked it. I did like that list.
Matt Ryan was number
Good
5.
combo.
4 was Deion Sanders at FSU. Number 3 was Alex English, former Denver Nugget. Number 2 was Moses Malone. And, of course, number 1, as you may have just heard, was Derek Jeter. You know, Jeter got shot by Mark Wahlberg.
He did? Oh, that's right.
The other guys in the movie.
You know, and like the best thing I liked about Dieter was when he was in that movie, Anger Management, and Roger Clemens is sitting in the dugout. Man, would this dude hurry up? My arm's starting to cool up. And then Derek Jeter's like, hey, Goose Fraba, Rocket, Goose Fraba. And he's like, Goose Fraba. That was cool scene.
Yeah, the other guys, he made
He shoots him in the leg, huh? In the that was the reason how he got, because he thought he was a terrorist or something. Yeah, in the
you shot Jeter.
You shot Derek Jeter.
All right, but we're gonna get out of here. Hope you enjoy the women's national championship today.
I'm watching. I'll be watching.
You're over under, by the way, on Caitlin Clark going over 40.
I think she's going to go under. I think Mulkey's going to have something for her, and I don't think it's going to be 40. I think she's going to be like 30 something though. I don't know if it's going to be 40. She'll be 30 something.
Probably going to be the leading scorer.
Yes, I would gather that much.
All right. Who you got winning though? LSU or Iowa? Oh, by the way, I wanted to bring this up when we were talking about this. Did you see the video when they were playing South Carolina? And I think I don't remember who it was, but it was Caitlin Clark's teammate telling her to go guard
Yep.
player. And she just kind of just waved it off. And then they got a turnover and she went down and scored anyway. That was
cold-blooded. And did you see that chick? Not that girl not even look to shoot?
Yeah. I mean, she was wide open.
She could have dribbled to the elbow right there at the free throw line and got a shot off. And she didn't even try that. Yeah,
and then one of the LSU players, and I forget who it was, said, that's pretty disrespectful. They're going to have to play us a little differently. And even Caitlin Clark came out and said, yeah, we're going to play them a little different.
Yeah, that I saw that too. That was funny because she was like, no, we're going to play. Yeah, because LSU's trying to make some disrespectful stuff. Like it wasn't even against them, but I love that. I love that. That's why I think this game's going to be a little bit grimy, a little bit chippy because of the way those girls play basketball.
Yeah, and I forget who the LSU girl is. She's probably the most popular, but her shoe had fallen off. She's standing in the middle of the paint, Matt, holding her shoe, and then somebody drives down the lane and she blocks the shot holding her shoe.
Yeah.
And then she stood over the girl for like a second and she got a technical, but literally got the block holding her own shoe. That was crazy.
Angel Reese, she's a monster.
Yeah.
She's a monster.
Her own shoe gets a block shot. That was nuts. That was crazy to see, but
I got Iowa. I'm going to take Iowa because of Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say she's the X factor, but she's not an X factor. She is the factor. So
60%, 62% of their points in the past 3 games, I think. She was responsible for.
In the second half against South Carolina, she scored every single point except for the second basket made in the second half, but she assisted on it. So she was a part of every single scoring play in this entire second half.
It's pretty crazy what she's doing. There's not a player that has done this. I can't remember a player that's done this to this level. I mean, Cheryl Swoops was good like that. Travasi kind of, sorta, but I don't think she was as dominant as that. Candace Parker, no. Lisa Leslie, maybe. But I mean, it's pretty remarkable what she's doing.
Yeah. So once again, national championship today, 1:30. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But we're going to get out of here. I want to thank everyone for watching, listening. Once again, like the Instagram page on Rocky Mountain Sports Network, Rocky MTN SN. Follow all the Twitter pages are at RM Sports Network, at Matt Mascarenas1, at Michael Spillin, or at 5280 Sports Radio. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You can find that on there at 5280 Sports Radio as well. Go like the Facebook pages as well, Rocky Mountain Sports Network and Elevation 5280 Sports. and hopefully we'll have a website up and running here very soon.
Ooh.
Sports Network as well. So in case you
We get to
missed-
write some articles too.
yeah, pretty. Hopefully we'll get that going up and running as well. But that's going to do it for us here on this Sunday morning. Once again, thank you we'll be on later. The podcast version will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast as well. But for Matt Mascarenas, I am Michael Spoon. We will talk to you next week.